You can have, okay, that board is not very interesting. So, you have all the latest models. So you remember like when I was talking about like the 17,300 something llamas, this is the stuff you can find in here. Here you will find the most like a trendy models, but if you can browse, you can find like popular models like a face swaps. I just discovered this one, it was quite cool. You can put any videos and basically it's going to calculate the depth of the image. If you want to look at some things, it's very easy to go to look for some things. For example, you can do SDXL. So SDXL is like how you can like type text and it's going to create images. And then you have like all those models. So even the one from like stability, you can try anything. And then you can run it.
So let me talk about Replicate for a second because it's quite interesting. As you know, a lot of researchers are publishing new models. And today, there's about 2,000 papers every week published on the subject of AI. So nobody has time to review the paper. So the peer review process is failing us right now. And only the papers that have code that you can check are being reviewed. People running the code. Now, most models are written in Python, which is a fantastic and easy language, but as you probably know, when somebody gives you a Python repository, you run it and it doesn't work. That's just the nature of it. But if you spend a bit of time debugging it, after a day or two, you can get it to work. What Replicate does, they allow anybody to take a Python repository and upload it to their server, and then anybody else can run it. Replicate make money because they charge you for every second of GPU that you are using on the cloud, but very little, it's a few cents. I've spent $1.30 so far in February, and I use it every day. The person that took the time to debug the code and upload it to make a bit of money every time you run it, so everybody is happy, and you get access to the very latest model. So it's where open source really works. Different people, from the researcher, the person that wrote the code, the person that debug it, replicate, and yourself, everybody benefits along the way. You got it working. So here we have Mixtral, which is a Llama 2-based large language model. So you all know about ChatGPT. You probably use ChatGPT on their website itself. By the way, when you use ChatGPT on their website, you agree that whatever you use it for will be used to the training of ChatGPT 5. So if you're a professional and you're helping ChatGPT help you do your work, well, GPT-5 will do your work really well. And means you may not get to keep that job for much longer. What is important to know about a large language model, and I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit. There is some parameters, the prompt, this is what you type, and the large language model will try to reply. The temperature is an interesting parameter. Typically, it goes from 0 to 1. With the 0 temperatures, your large language model will be very literal. It will use every word with their most common meaning, and it will give you the most likely answer. Which is not very creative, but it's very reliable. As you move the temperatures up, one is a very high temperatures, it will be very creative and pretty much less exact. It may hallucinate more. It's useful if you're doing poetry, for example. Don't use the temperature of 0 for that, but in some models that you go above 1 and then it becomes really weird. So let's not do that. A good number is 0.3, 0.2. Those are models you don't really need. Some things you're going to see, maybe not in that model, but in many, they have two text inputs. One is a prompt, which is your dialogue with the machine, what you're asking it to do. And the other one is a system prompt. And you're going to see that, for example, in the ChatGPT block that you have in Omnitool. The system prompt is where you define the role of the machine. It turns out if you tell it it's a really good coder, it will write better code. which is funny. If you say it's a very good lawyer, it will write better law things related. So this one doesn't let you set it, but ChatGPT, if you hit the block.
If you look at all the recipes, so basically I'm going to show you like how to use, for example, import something from replicate into the things, and how you can test different kind of models. The key of this hackathon is like try different models. Don't think ChatGPT or the mainstream stuff, mainstream technology is working the best. Sometimes it doesn't. So, as a beginning, I'm going to create a chat input, because you saw before, like, this is your chat going to have all the things, so you can see all my chat. And the chat output will be basically what you're going to have inside. So the input is here, the output is going to be there. So if I use a ChatGPT, I can have my text into the front, so I'm going to click into this one, and then I'm going to click my text into the text output. And then if I say here, give me maybe up. And then I'm going to press run. So basically what you do is just you created like your first recipe with the chat input. And why is it how is it today? So sometimes you don't have to press run, you have to press enter into the chat. So we show behind the thing. So now you can see ChatGPT is rendering. And then it gives me a list of answers.
Can you do from the ad block again?
Yeah, so maybe it's a good idea to tell you what Omnitool is, what it is for.
Yeah,
so,
and also zoom into your block because it's hard to see.
Okay. So what we've made is we made a universal interface to work with different AI models. Now, AI models do all kinds of things. So we were just on Replicate looking at dozens of different things, whether they do video, whether they do text, or all kinds of audio, and so on. They all have different ways for you to interact with them. Typically, you write a code, and the code has a certain number of parameters, you pass it to the AI gives you an answer. What we wanted to do is to really simplify the act of discovering an AI model, making it run, and then connecting it with other things. Here we have a very simple chat input, a model and a chat output, but it could be one model talking to another. We could have a model that draws a picture, followed by an AI that looks at the pictures and describe what's inside. Now you sort of know what it is, but if you wanted to test the bias of the AI drawing pictures, if I ask it to draw a Singaporean nurse, is it going to draw a variety, and run it 1,000 times, it's going to draw a variety of gender and age and his name, or is always going to default to the same thing? So you could measure the bias of an AI by having another AI look at the output and describe it for you. That's an example of a two AI step. We were showing you in the video earlier, if you paid attention, an AI that gives precise instruction to another to draw, then another one that removes the background, so that's more convenient, and a third one that writes a story, and a fourth one that speaks a story aloud, so that now you have both. So that's a way. If you were to do that by hand, meaning look at this AI and write a code that calls each one of them, that's a bit of work, and then you would have to make sure that the data that go from one to the other is in the format that both have agrees on. We talk about image, for example, you all know about JPEG and GIF or GIF, whatever you call it, but actually there's really all kinds of different formats that computers use for image, especially when we go to Python and machine learning code. In Omnitool, you see we have a few different primitives, and you might not see it, but if it's an image, meaning the image comes out of this box, you connect it to a box that has an image input, and it's going to do the work for you to convert whatever format it may be. So you don't have to worry about writing codes that prepare your data from one block to another. All you need to do is go and find the blocks that are going to work for you. So the real skills, what you're learning during this hackathon, is not how to take one AI and find all the parameters that it takes and how to make it run for you. Because in fact, that AI in 6 months could be completely obsolete. But the concept of going to a library of AI models, that every day there's more of them, looking at the different capabilities, figure out what you need to do, what you want to do, and that one AI is coming a bit short, so you're going to use another one to shore up, and so on. And building this kind of workflow, building this architecture of different AI models, this is a skill that you're learning. And that skill will be valid a year, 2 years, 10 years from now. You will have different AI models, they will do more things, faster, better. But the concept of looking at everything that is possible, and out of that deciding how you're going to architecture this thing, is the most important. I'm talking about connecting one AI with another, but there's actually never ever simpler application. For example, ChatGPT. You could have ChatGPT do something, and then another ChatGPT taking that input, that output, and then doing something more complex with it. The first thing was give me 10 IDs. Now you could have something that say, take every idea and write a bigger summary of that. Or judge, criticize the first AI. Very often if you use ChatGPT, if you ask it for something and then you say, hey, can you look at what you just wrote and give it a good critic, it will improve its output. So just without mixing a lot of the different AI, using a one in series or in parallel, so you can create something that is much stronger than what you already have. That's what we're doing. Okay, summarize, sorry, Laurent. Yeah, stop talking. Omnitool is a universal interface to different AI models that are running on the cloud, or you could run on your local machine. And that simplify connecting them together. Yes.
So, sometimes, if you use like too many models for the first time, or if you're using too many models on the parallels, it may bug a bit. So sometimes you have to stop, say, so that's a very good example of like, oops, when you do a like demo doesn't work, then you just need to reload and then it's fine. If you have too many blocks, or you don't want to use some of them, so I'm going to go back to how to add the blocks. I can click on add blocks. You can choose, so you see here you have different kind of like things. So I'm going to look for a text. And then I'm having like a chat input, and here I'm having, for example, ChatGPT. So if I want to click on only text generation, I can click on this one, and I'm going to use the ChatGPT simple. I click on add block. Here it says my block is added. You don't see it because it's hidden somewhere. And then, for example, I'm going to delete this one, and I'm going to link it to my text input into the prompt, and linking back to my text. Here you have different kind of version of ChatGPT. So let's say I'm going to use ChatGPT 4. This is the temperature model like Manu was talking about, so you can crank it up. And if I go back to, you see, yeah, I have a message here. So I'm going to rerun this one, so I'm going to either click on resend. And then what I should have now, if these things are working well, but I'm doing with the demo, you will see the difference between like a ChatGPT 3 and a 4. So then you can start to see with that which model is working the best for what you want to do.
Just a quick note on that. GPT-4 is very good. Up to recently, until this week, it was better than anything else by really deep and down. It is literally 100 times more expensive than GPT-3. So every time you use it, when I say I spent $1, so far in February, if I use GPT-4, it would be $100. So it's a bit of a different thing. If I use GPT-4 intensely, it's probably going to be a $20 bill per day, which you probably don't want. But it has its place. You could, as I said, make an architecture only of GPTs where you have the mastermind, the things that need to be really smart using GPT-4, and things that are fairly simple using GPT-3s. And it's super easy. You just copy the block a few times, you put one in GPT-4, the right one, the one that doesn't run often, and the one that runs often, you put them in GPT-3, and that will give you a different thing. In fact, if you wanted to, you had a block called Olama, that's something that runs on your machine, so you pay zero. And there are some very small models that run even on very small hardware, like my MacBook Air. And so there are things where you could have a recipe that runs all night on your own hardware and give you the answer in the morning without costing you anything except electricity. So again, building an architecture is thinking about which model, running where, for what cost, it's all part of it. Thank you.
What I'm going to show you here is like, for example, just illustrate the point of money. So my ChatGPT-4 gives me a super good answer, super clear, I have all my points highlighted. So what if you link to ChatGPT one after another? So the first one is going to answer my question about the hackathon. The second one, I'm going to say, elaborate, okay, I'm dyslexic, I don't know how to write it. Elaborate each point and build a rationale.
You could say elaborate on point 1, and then copy it and say elaborate on point 2, right? Because when you ask a large language model to do too much work, it gets lost. So if you say do a lot of complex work on 10 different things, you might not get a very good answer. Now, this is don't take my word. The whole point of this tool is for you to test, to try, and to realize the limits that each model has. And those limits are only valid for a few months. Then they will be different. But the concept of testing something, realizing the limit, and thinking of an architecture that's going to go over them, for example, breaking it into two things, saying do point 1, do point 2, put them in parallel, and then get the answer, that's the kind of things that you're learning.
Yeah, so basically you can also copy paste your blog. So you can, what I'm doing now is like, this is the runtime, but if I want, I can copy this one, paste it, and say elaborate point 3, and build a user journey. And then basically what you're going to do with that is then you're going to start to test and to try different kind of prompting. Prompting is very important because it's going to really give, so then you can have my answer, all the points I mentioned, point 1, and then you have the different kind of things. So then you're going to try to see by testing this kind of like architectures of models of what you want to do, what you want to build, and what is the right workflow. Be mindful also of sometimes, if you're running a model for the first time, it will take a bit longer. If you run it over and over again, it will be faster and faster and faster. So now what we're going to do is to just like discover the recipe. So if you have any question of like how to create a blog, please ask now, otherwise I'll just move to the next one. So just a quick reminder, there is some videos with YouTube as a tutorial, but to create a blog, you can go in the blog here, a grid or a view, you can do a search, and you can also use those little filters we have here. So basically you can choose like Omnitool blocks, and then you have what you have. We have also native blocks when you want to talk about like a text template, for example.
Sometimes you need to modify text in a simple way. For example, you will see very quickly that to draw pictures, whether it's stable diffusion or all those things, there's a little bit of art to it. For example, if you say high detail, very well drawn, and those things, it tells the AI not to draw poorly, but to draw well, which seems strange, but you have to realize that AI has been trained to draw based on billions of pictures. Some of them were very poorly done. So you write a prompt, that's what we call prompt engineering last year, where you would say, not only draw me the picture of a dog, you say, draw me a picture of a dog and masterpiece, high details, and so kind of a salad of words after that. No, you may not want to type this every single time. So you want something that was going to take a text, which is just what you type, a picture of a dog, and then add that salad of words to it. So let's do that. Text on text. So input prompt. So and then we add high detail masterpiece. Yeah. Trending on ArtStation. Okay, sure, that's great. So save, and when you do that, can you zoom in? So this block called text templates now has a new input. It's called prompt that we created by saying input prompt. And whatever we type in there will be replaced here. So if you connect this to a chat input and connect that to a chat output, you can
This icon is going to arrange. So if the thing is too messy, click on this one. Shoop.
And then text to, and then you type a picture of a dog here or there. Right. So that's a way to format things. Now, I only put one input. You could put as many input as you want if you wanted to do something a bit different. So that's a way to manipulate text, which is very useful because a lot of us say I get text as an input. So that's one.
So I'm going to show you from like the Discover recipe. So one of my favorites created by Nick over there. Nick, say hi. And you also have the hackathon smoke test. So basically, this one is going like to help you to see if there is anything wrong. That's a good idea of like what you can do. So basically, every recipe templates they have these things here to tell you what are the prerequisites, what are the things you can do, dive a bit more like to understand all of these things, and also try to think about the implication of what you want to do. So I'm going to take a photo. Okay, so what we're going to do with this one is to basically try to analyze an image, influence what you have inside the prompt. That's going to create an image, then we're going to have a surface, and then we're going to have an output. So if I press run, it's going to crash and all. What we ask from this model actually is to determine what is the gender of the person you're going to have into the picture. So this one is sometimes quite a bit slow to run because basically if a model is not run often or replicates, or is not often used, basically they hide it somewhere into the database and it's not that fast. So if you want to have an idea which is like, oh, I need to churn like thousands of loops or whatever, try to be mindful of what you're using. And also, if you look at here, you have the examples of the prompt. So this one was created by me, and it's super duper good because it's a very accurate. So this one takes a bit long because it's not used very well.
So let me try to explain what this is doing. We're taking a picture of somebody. We have an AI describe it, mostly to find the gender of the person. Then we tell the AI to say, okay, re-describe that person, but as if it was a yearbook pictures, With a nice linen background, and makes that person to be 20 to 25 years old, regardless of what they are in the first one. So we have an AI that look at the pictures, that rewrites something, and then we send this to an AI that draw pictures. So can you zoom into the draw picture? Because there's a few things interesting. One of them is this one. This is a negative prompt. Positive prompt is what do you want to draw? Negative prompt is what do you not want to draw, which is quite useful. For example, we don't want nudity for your pictures. We don't want it to be cartoony. We don't want an illustration. We want a photo, right? So on the positive, we say, please draw a photo. On the negative, we say, please no nudity and not like a cartoon. Now, so this is a really cool thing. Now, this illustrates, like 6 months ago, 4 months ago, that was a great recipe, and when we showed it, people were impressed. However, all of this, today, on Replicate, you have a model that do it in 1 block. Right. So in a few months, what used to take several AI talking to each other to do something has been taken over, and now there's something that does it straight away. And you're going to find this over and over again. You find something you want to do a use case, and it's a little bit hard, you need several AI, you need a bit of extra work, and finally get it working, and 2 months later, a model comes that do all of it for you. And that's natural. Again, what you're learning is grabbing AI and doing something with them. It's not going to last forever. What you do is going to be obsolete fairly quickly, and that's the nature of it. But meanwhile, you're generating value, and then you will know how to generate value in the next one. So,
but the most important thing is to switch on the microphone. So this is where actually I'm going to show you like where is the final level. So most important is like the logic of the recipe of the workflow. Now you can like browse all your images into like the file manager. You can have permanent items or temporary items. So if I everything. So this is the image generated based on the descriptions. This is me, like I was 25 years old. Okay, never mind, it's like again. So this is how like the things work. So and if you look at this one, that's what Manu said before. So this one is working, and this is the example we have. But here, you may have less control on the parameters. So if you want to say, okay, I want to compare this one to the model. So remember, comparing is essential in terms of applied AI, because one solution may be not the greatest together. So what I can do now is to go to my extension of replicates, open it, I just copy the name of the model, I'm going to paste it, add the model, add it as a block, and then I can start to understand how this model is made. So what you have here is a prompt of an LLM. Sorry. This is the negative prompt, and this is a different kind of poses.
You try using the interface with touchpad.
Is it better like that? No, I think so. I mean, it's just there. Okay, so the thing is like what Manu described here. That was the speaker there. So this is exactly like what you have in terms of like, this is the prompt or how you're going to change the pictures. This is a different kind of like weight and pose and strength you can put. So basically that's kind of like how you fine tune images. And this is the negative prompt. So one block, one thing. Before that, what 3 months ago, what Nick was doing, it's exactly about like how applied AI can change. So remember, go to replicate, try to discover as many models as possible, and then you can do some things.
Can we demonstrate again how to get the replicate from?
Yeah. Any other models? Okay, what do you want to try? Anybody has an idea of like what do you want to try to explore to see? Text, images, video, what do you want? Oh yeah, the animation. You can, so remember the file manager, you can take any of the things you've been rendering before and reuse that. You can also load things you've been doing. So basically what you can do is to create a recipe, to generate some things, and to reuse that into another recipe. Yeah, it's fine.
No, this one is super expensive, by the way. It's super expensive. So, as I mentioned, in February, I spent $1.50 on replicate so far. 70 cents of this was on that model, and I only run it a few times. So, just again, we're not talking about a lot of money, but it's easily 10 or 20 times more expensive than the others.
Let's go real slow. Right, we'll start the recipe from scratch and add block by block. So basically, remember like an extension, replicate extension is the one when you can import a model. You import it once, and then it will be into your block library forever. But it's easy like to get back the models you want to have. And your chat tells you, yes, you can have this one. So basically, we have this kind of like, chat is the main place where you're going to find the things. Block, and you can see the block is here. This Sim hackathon information block things, you can hide it. So basically, it's just like a checklist to see like if you have all the informations. We did that before, but we still have it. So here, what you have is different kind of parameters. So as you can see here, you can either input an image or you can do text. So basically, like what Omnitool is doing is like any blocks is going to have the matching like input and output sockets of what you can do. But most importantly, you're going to have controls of like the variables. And you can use it. Image input, so basically what he did is what from the file manager, can you go back to the file manager? And then you click on an image, and basically on the top you have send to chat, add to canvas, download, edit, copy, delete. So you can play with that. Send to chat, we send it to the chat, and add to the canvas, we send it to the recipe. Thank you. So what Nick has done is been linking the image to the output to the input, and they all have the same color. So basically, colors are matching each other, so it should be fine. You can also have an input of numbers. So if you want to have random numbers, you can put like a block numbers, saying like a random, and then you create like a random variables over time. We never run maybe check output. And you see here, I put a little heart. So basically, if Nick is going to click on the heart on the chat output block, you can favorite your blocks you want to use a lot. So it's easy to find back. See like this little favorite, the red icons. You can like copy names, but the little red icons of the heart is like to make it as a favorite. So then you have all your favorite blocks easily for that. And what Nick is going to do is to click the output. So output is green, but you can send that as the video or the image, video, or files. You can choose both. I'm the one responsible for the choice of color, so if everything you don't like, you can just tell me, it's fine, you can change after. Again, so just be sure you have your API key entered. You can set a cap limit for expenses, so if you want to spend too much money on something like that, it's possible. But it's not that crazy expensive. Once you press the run, basically like you can have your website. And can you press on like the dev extension? The dev, So the dev log should display, not now, don't know why, should display all the logs and the things you're doing. But it's just like sometimes working, but when you do like remove everything crash. That's
I think he bought. Yeah.
The good thing also about Omnitool, if it doesn't work, you need to have on the panel like explanation of like why it doesn't work. For example, for me, sometimes it's just because I forget to refresh my VLAN key. I had an issue with ChatGPT 4, I have no idea why, but very nicely like a share history with me. So if you have some issue, you should not left comment. Everything you're doing here, so basically is like you are just calling the API, the models, but most of the things run on your machine. So it's kind of like battery consuming, charge your laptop, sometimes a bit resource draining. Don't try to run too many blocks at the same time. That's not going to work. And also, if you call one block, for example, you put like 10 replicate blocks one after another, sometimes like the API replicate server says, whoa, there's too many blocks running at the same time, it's going to shut you off. So video is extremely like long to render because basically it's creating like all the images one by one. I think you have the steps, you have the motion, the scale, but don't have the numbers of like frames. So if you have too many frames or the video is too long, that's going to take forever. So that's where like you need to look at. If you go to the replicate page,
I mean, when I refresh, it's fine.
the replicate page, no, the page on the internet.
This will be possible for me, right?
The model.
This will be possible for me.
And if you look down, they are going to show you like what are the things. So basically, you can find some info about what it's doing, and then you can have an idea of like sometimes I don't understand, it's not working. So look at the documentation. It usually is very well made and it's very easy to understand. So you have all the different kinds of documentations here, or different kind of examples.
So maybe while we wait for the execution to complete, do you guys have any questions so far? This is really nearing the end of a simple demo we're doing here. So any questions on like getting Omnitool running, getting the simple recipe set up, the blocks, and then with your outputs, and then adding replicate models on Omnitool. All good? Okay, probably the video is not the best example since it's going to take a while. But we have the Discord channel. If you have any questions, please feel free to post your questions there. The entire team is there to really help accelerate your hackathon experience. If not, I'll hand the time back to Ishan or Emmanuel, you have something?
How do you queue a Mac?
This one takes quite a bit of time, so it was pretty a bad example. This will take 4 or 5 minutes. Just a few words again on the kind of skills you have to learn. As you've seen, to draw a pretty picture, there is a lot of magic words to use, both in the negative and the positive point. And you may think, maybe that's a skill, like prompt engineer, I'm going to learn this magic word. Now, if you look at ChatGPT, you can draw pictures nowadays, using DALL-E 3. You do not talk to DALL-E 3.
What Mac is that?
You tell ChatGPT what you want to draw, and ChatGPT writes that set of words that work for DALL-E 3. So that job of prompt engineer that appeared last year, middle of last year, lasted less than 6 months and is already dead. Because it turned out that writing this magic word, the machine is better than human to do that. So again, what you're learning is taking an idea, breaking it down, looking at different AI, picking those AIs, going around the limitations, putting them in an architecture and making that work. And that will stay valid and constant regardless of the model underneath. So that's what you're here to learn. So again, most of the job is going on replicate, and there's others that replicate it, plugin test and so on, but going on this repository of AI models, looking at all of them, there's quite a few, testing them a little bit to see if that's what you want, and then imagining what you can do with those things if you can start connecting them together, or the same in group. That's what you're learning. Now, again, I was mentioning 2,000 papers a week, new models every day, 17,000 llama in 6 months. Each llama is equivalent to ChatGPT. So if you look at Moore's law, which says that computing double every 18 months in terms of the cost is reduced in half, the size is reduced in half, the power is reduced in half, you know the drill. If you look at generative AI, if you measure its memory, its capabilities, the cost of running it, and so on, it's not every 18 months. It doubled roughly every 2 months. In 2023, we've seen 10 years of progress in 1 year alone. And it's accelerating. Why is it accelerating? GPT-3 was released 2.5 years ago, and nobody cared, because it was very hard to talk to it. You sort of have to program it in an obscure language. This was not what we have. Now, to go from GPT-3 to 3.5, the AI had to be trained to talk to humans. And that took 300,000 examples of sentences and answers written by humans, saying, if an AI was talking to me, that's how I would like it to answer the question. And then we got GPT 3.5, which was the most successful product in the history of humanity, in terms of adoption. Oh, I should have cut it? Okay. Okay. Anyway. What I was trying to say is that now the AI is helping train the next AI, so it's going faster and faster. And your job is to try to learn to surf all this, to be very familiar with all those models, and to see how they come and adapt them and use them in your day-to-day life, and use them for your future employers and so on. You come at a tremendous advantage, because people that are in the workplace today do not have time to play with these things. They have KPIs, they have things to do, they are afraid for their jobs because they are scared to take it. They are competing with their colleagues, and they have really hard things that they need to do, and they just need to execute on that. So you are in a unique place where you are going to hit the workplace, the workforce, with more knowledge in the most important technologies than the people that are already there, which is not very often. So it's a huge opportunity. However, if you don't take it, if you forget about this after you leave this hackathon, and you just rely on the knowledge that the university is giving you, that unfortunately most of the time does not incorporate AI, you're going to join a workforce competing with people that have the same knowledge as you, but more advanced. And you're not going to be in a very good position. So we encourage you to take full advantage of these hackathons, to learn the skills that will be the determining factors when you look for a job in the future. That's it. Thanks.